if you have a higher self and a lower self, then it's like what part of the self are you? Like where do you stand with that? If your higher self is this thing over here and your lower self is this thing over here, what are you, like the middle self? I don't know, but I guess what I believe right now is the idea that you're the part that can go to either one. You can, you know what I'm saying? You just, if it's a scale and this is higher self on this end and this is lower self on this end, you the little knob that can slide. Like you can go to this part, or you can go a little less than higher self, or you can go to the low part, or you know what I'm saying? You get to be the one that decides where it's at. So I mean, I guess even just that idea right there causes me to want to look at the entire concept differently, because to say higher self or to say lower self makes you think of an entity outside of yourself, but the reality is it's all you. And then I guess one thing, you know what, it just became real clear because a while ago I was watching one of the older conscious like speakers, I guess you could say, and he brought up a concept about an acronym for God. He said generator, operator, destroyer. And in this instance, you can look at the higher self as the generator and the destroyer as the lower self, and you being the operator. So it's like you operate as the generator, or you operate as the destroyer, or you just be the operator, I guess, which is maybe a balance of the two. I don't know, but that's a interesting concept because generator, operator, destroyer, three different parts of the same word, three different letters in this acronym, but combined is where the concept builds from. And it's like it's one word, right? And it's the same with you, where you got higher self, lower self, and the decider, but it's all one entity. That's, I mean, I guess I just now thought about it, so that's something I need to sit with for myself and kind of get into. But I brought it up because, or it came up because of the idea that I was talking to one of my buddies about something a little while ago, and he brought up the point of the reason why it's so hard to change and improve a lot of times is because it's your old self fighting against that change. It's your old self not wanting to be different in that way. And as I'm thinking about it, as I was thinking about it here, I like had the thought pop up that you can call it your old self, you can call it your lower self. And it's like that lower self is what's fighting against you wanting to be that higher self. And I guess now that I say that, I can see it where it's you being in this lower self and then trying to slide the scale, trying to move the knob, like trying to go towards that higher self more, but that lower self or that old self keeps pulling you back to be here. And you know, it really makes me think about the fact that us as people, or as humans, or as what I call planetary entity operators, like you as the individual, we are very, very, very multi-dimensional. Like we exist in multiple places at multiple times, and we're so complex and so like beyond the simple understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because even just that idea right there, how could I be trying to be a better me and then I'm also pulling me back? How could I be trying to go towards my higher self, but my lower self is pulling me back? Like, how could I be these different things at once? Like, how could this internal conflict be possible? In order to have a conflict, there needs to be opposing sides, conflicting entities, right? So how could I be more than one entity within myself as one entity? Like, it's so nuts that it doesn't even make sense from a traditional understanding, or from a unevolved understanding, or even just from a regular understanding. Like, it has to be the case that either, right, because it's always a possibility that I'm wrong, so either I'm wrong about my understanding of myself in that way, right, or in the simplest, most physical term I could put it in, it's like a multi-personality type of thing, where it's multiple entities in one, multiple expressions in one. You know what I'm saying? And then it's multidimensional because otherwise I can look at it as it's a fragmented consciousness, which makes sense. I mean, in a way, because I'm not even gonna get into that, but I could believe that, right? But it's this fragmented consciousness where it's like this lower self is me, it's a consciousness of me, and this higher self is a consciousness of me, and this decider is a consciousness of me. And so why would I was gonna say, why would my lower me not want the decider me to leave and go to the higher me? But I guess it's just because that's the nature of it. That's the nature of the higher self to want to pull me towards it, and that's the nature of the lower self to be the opposite end of that pole or that polarity to want me to stay with it. And I guess that you know what, really it speaks a lot to the power I have as the decider. You know what I'm saying? Because if this higher self has got this great pull to pull me towards it, and this lower self has got this great pull to pull me towards it, where I go is determined by what I do. And I guess that's the power of being that decider and that factor. But it's not easy, but it's a power, and I'm seeing now if I can harness that, or if you can harness that, it'll make you a lot more powerful.